All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today with me. And I want to welcome you to my session. My name is Yoad, and I'm super sorry for not being able because I missed the opportunity to meet you in person. Thank you so much, Budapest. Thank you, IDC, and thank you for listening to me. I know it's morning, so let's get ourselves some cyber energized. Let's be happy. Let's be cool. Let's talk about security as the key to tech leadership, and sometimes also intelligence against the machine. My name is Yoad, and I'm coming from Tel Aviv, and I'm working for Microsoft as a security specialist in the Central and Eastern European region. And I travel from time to time, when the pandemic and those waves allow me. And when I'm not doing that, I'm working remotely with our customers, enterprise customers, pitching, positioning, strategizing, architecting our cybersecurity solutions. And when I'm not doing that, um, I'm working with our engineers to provide feedback, to work on roadmap items, because we have a very large development center for Microsoft in Tel Aviv, over 2,000 people that have some of the coolest and newest innovations that are delivered worldwide. So let's jump into what we have here for you today. So I want to start and first of all say a big thank you to IDC again to having us Microsoft as a platinum sponsor. So and to the opportunity to kind of be one of the first that opened this event. So thank you so much. And this is super critical nowadays. Why? Because cyber attacks are becoming more frequent, more sophisticated. Hafnium, Nobelium, the colonial pipe. Those are things not to be played with. We all know that. We read, when the U.S. administration writes about cybersecurity. We see with the situation and conflict over the war over the Ukraine right now, what's happening. Cyber attack plays a big part, and also Microsoft released a special report dedicated to what's happening in the Ukraine. So this is not something cybersecurity and attacks on our premises, on our perimeter, whether we are extending to the cloud or protecting our high-prem, hybrid, and on-prem environments, whether we're doing a good job or not, we are constantly bombarded and under attacks, right? And this has been elevated to become a board level issue. So cybersecurity is not just something on the data center floor and the dungeons by technicians. This is an executive topic. Also, we have to address that we have pressures to address multi-cloud IT environments, right? Just staying siloed in one SaaS provider or even numerous SaaS providers, you have to be able to reason over your data, create policies that extend beyond the classic one high-prem or one cloud siloed, and be able to see what's going on and get that visibility and have all those alerts and audit trails into your security operation. This is, Microsoft, I can tell you, we're very much invested into that, but also talking to our customers, I definitely see that this is the main thing. Multi-cloud is the new acronym, is the new requirement by many organizations, and also vendors are definitely catering to that. Also, regulation has never been more complex. I think it's hard to keep up with regulation. There's so many regulations, regardless, and so many enforcements and restrictions and privacy concerns, right? Regarding specific requirements that are changed even on a daily basis. I mean, even I can tell you from a Microsoft perspective, we have a tool called Compliance Manager because you have to manage your compliance. Am I compliant? Maybe yes today, but in a week's time, maybe not, because some I need to enforce a new policy that scans my data in my high-prem environment or in the cloud, right? That needs to provide some kind of evidence or audit trail to the regulator. Moving on, we have to be able to connect the dots, and the dots are growing, right? The internet is everybody's backyard, and it's not about I allow internet connectivity or not. It's like under which circumstances I be able to get the signals, fuse them together, create effective policies, and then dictate under what terms of conditions I am allowing my users or third party or guest users to be able to connect to the systems. And eventually, we're talking about an end-to-end protection. You know, we want to cover our endpoints, our email, phishing, scams, fraud, and also identity, right? And in essence, after we've been dealing with apps running through the cloud provider and also our data points, right? In essence, we have to be able to encrypt, to put a sticky note, to put a tab, to put a tag on a piece of data and say you're top secret. You are you dear document, email or attachment or file. If you specifically, right, if you will be leaked out or someone will steal you maliciously or inadvertently, then this is a disaster. This is called the toxic data, and sometimes we have just to add encryption to that. Add to that complexity that many times executives are the ones that are dealing with the most sensitive data, and very, often they're not, they are the least, not the least, but they don't care about technology. They care about running the business, and they just want things to run smoothly. So that creates a more, a stronger or a lengthier attack surface. So protect, simplify, catch, and grow, right? This is the new cycle. Have a bigger visibility, right? Have more automation because you need more fusion of alerts, and then to be quicker to react, then you go with automation and intelligence there. So also named by IDC a leader in 6 MarketScape reports category. Then thank you so much, IDC, great partner. The information is there. I'll put the references there, and thank you so much. We'll be very happy to share, and I'm sure you'll hear about it in the rest of the day. When we talk about AI and from a Microsoft perspective, sometimes, we're leveraging the power and the visibility that we have over the data, and we're trying to fuse that because in security, as you all know, as we all know, size does matter. So when we have 24 trillion daily security alerts, you have to do something wise about that, and you have to protect other tenants. And if someone suffered from a new zero day kind of eruption or a new epidemic or a new wave in their tenant, we want to be able to contain that blast radius pretty fast, right? So this is our mission, and I'm sure that, from our perspective as a vendor, 8,500 plus security engineers and researchers will have to join forces with other researchers from defensive and offensive cyber in order to protect our future. Why? Because the complexity of the event is growing, right? And we have to be able to understand what's happening beyond our perimeter, beyond our tenant, beyond our cloud provider, right? And beyond our vendor, security vendor. So with the continuous innovation and evolution of the market, from with the classic antivirus transformed into the anti-malware, right? Or the spyware, then we have all these growing trends with still many to come. But I think that the biggest one from an org-wise protection would be the combination of XDR and SIEM, and also future more to come. Right, cool. So I want to end this part and to give you some takeaways. So first of all, you have to decide if you're not playing the cloud game still, right? You have to decide if you want to go high-prem, again, hybrid or on-prem versus the cloud. You don't have to deliver all of your application from the cloud, but you can be served with security through the cloud. And this has been seen tremendously successful for customers that even run their own data centers, right? Still, and they want to keep that strategy going forward. They are consuming security services with telemetry, right? With information, with policies, and based on data coming from the cloud. Again, internet is everybody's network. You cannot ignore it. You cannot block your users. You rather be able to enforce conditioning, right? When the users are accessing, or in some terms, it's called conditional access. You'll be able to, to analyze parameters and then enforce identity and IAM measures. And again, intelligence against the machine. I just love, there's not much behind it. I just love it. Like we use our intelligence, our analyst intelligence to fight those scanners and commodity scanners that are out there looking for open IP addresses or open protocols. And again, keys to the kingdom, lastly, from the takeaway part, protect what matters, right? Protect those crown jewels, the things that can really hurt your business if to be explored or shared. And eventually, it's all down to encryption. Right. So just a few data points coming from IDC, which I really like from their mega trends 22 cyber report. One that we can see that due to the pandemic, there's been a huge data consumption spike that we all felt. Together with everybody's working remotely and still, going back to the office, but we definitely see a trend of people working remotely, consuming more and more services, relying on broadband in order to consume more work-related items to draw them from home. And another big term that I really like from that report, and I wanted to share with you this morning, is that some have the perception that Kubernetes and containers, is it good, or is it like makes our life as security practitioners harder? um, and the answer is yes and no. So for example, it makes our life more secure because of the element embedded in its architecture and its framework, right? But on the other hand, it's not the easiest thing to grasp or to implement. And as you can see on the screen, on the left-hand side of the screen, what are the primary drivers that cause your organization to initially deploy containers or Kubernetes? One would that I want to improve security. But on the other hand, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, right, then what were the top challenges when deploying containers and on Kubernetes? Again, how to configure that properly, how to manage it, that still is a challenge. So the story of complexity, then and then let me just finish with my talk with some key and super interesting fun facts or interesting fact. The number of breaches positively correlates to the number of IaaS vendor, right? So how many security breaches your IaaS environment has and your organization had in the past 2 years that involved spending extra resource to rectify. So if you have more breaches, then you likely have to have more vendors. The less vendors you have, the better control that you have over your environment. So integration and consolidation is the new norm. Also, major security breaches, it positively correlates with the elapsed time. So the shorter time to acknowledge, to triage, will be a better time to remediate, right? I'm just keeping track of my time because I want to be respectful of other speakers here this morning to get today with us. And also, maybe two more points here, please. Major security breaches positively correlates with the number of uninvestigated alerts. So why do we even have uninvestigated alerts? Why don't we address all alerts? Should we? Right? So as you can see in the report, and I love this finding, there are too many false positives still. This is a big no, but it's still happening. Too much noise in the system, and the belief that the unaddressed alerts are not worth. Someone said, okay, those are not important. They just go, they just vanish, but then they re-emerge. And high number of too many alerts contributing to fatigue. So we have to be able to fuse the data together, become smarter, and also to introduce automation. And lastly, retain your people, retain your folks as management, and I'm referring to the management here. And even the first wave of an economic recovery post-COVID, we definitely see that cybersecurity is still on a high demand. So instead of re-recruiting, retain your people, invest in them. That will be your most critical thing. Thank you so much. I was Yoad. See you on LinkedIn. I'm sorry for not being in person. I promise to meet you super soon. Thanks again. Have a lovely event, and thank you, IDC.